Welcome to another episode of the Nurture with Grace podcast. We hope this episode gives you encouragement, ideas, and practical strategies as you continue raising your young champions. You're doing an amazing job, and your little ones are truly blessed to have you. Please remember, this content is for general information and encouragement only, not medical or clinical advice. If you need extra support, we encourage you to reach out to a qualified professional.
One thing we find, some autistic kids they find it really hard socially to play with others and they tend to isolate. But we've got a case of, like, for example, our son really loves to play and loves to play with other kids, loves to mix up with other kids. But they might struggle with things like taking turn, sharing, or I guess playing. I guess like following some sort of like conventions of standards of like this is how the play is supposed to be, and following that. How do you suggest we support? What's some strategies we can do to support kids who are social, but then they might struggle with some of those social cues?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
A lot of resources that are developed are scripted. So a lot of resources you'll see around social skills are teaching the kids to say a script, like how to introduce yourself to someone, how to join in a conversation, how to join a group when they're playing. Those are helpful, but then sometimes you see the kids really, they rely so much on that script, but anything beyond that script is really hard for them. In terms of like developing those play skills, it's great if they have a good model. So even playing with you as a parent, and I think that's something that's so necessary. A lot of families don't have the time or the energy to sit down and play with their child and practice that turn taking, winning, losing, and then working through it. And I think sometimes we are so good at throwing the game for them, like letting them win, but making it so that there's a bit of give and take, and modeling appropriate responses when we win, when we lose, and even sharing turn taking. Sometimes I find with kids who really struggle with that, giving them an opportunity to, like, if they're much younger, they can't keep track of the sharing, the turn taking, and so giving them a chance to play, like one or more times, and then, whose turn is it? Like, kind of just questioning it rather than telling. I saw Sally didn't have a turn yet, and then kind of leaving it. So I find that effective too. I know that's jumping to the next thing very quickly, but asking rather than telling is a big way. Then they'll make that connection faster rather than us saying, remember, you roll the dice here, or kind of like we're prompt. And then they're so reliant on the prompts, even in social skills. But asking them, did you notice how Johnny's face looked? Or did you notice, pointing out things for them, rather than just telling them how to act or be, and that it's okay to have differences. Like, it's okay. We have this really neat box in society, and we want everyone to fit into it. But at the end of the day, it's all right for, like, if they don't like playing board games, or if they don't like, playing sports or competitions, then that's okay too, and making accommodations for them. Yeah.
And I feel like that's such a shift for us as parents as well. Like, as you're talking about asking, because I think, as you said, as parents, we're so busy, so we just want to tell them, do this or do that or whatever. So, like, actually taking that time to actually ask them is something I have to actively think about. Otherwise, I'll just be like, have you done that? Why haven't you done that?
Yes,
you should be doing this. It's kind of like I need to reframe that in my mind and ask those questions. So I'm finding that something as parents we're having to relearn the way we communicate with our kids.
Yes, yeah.
And this is something that I was thinking about. We had this conversation yesterday, and I thought this is a good question to bring up, because when they're playing, there's a part of me that just wants to intervene, and there's a part of me that is like, you know what, let them be, but observe. I guess for us, and that would be the case with a lot of parents with kids with additional need. You're so used to being hyper-vigilant,
Yes.
and watching over your kid and making sure that everything is okay and trying to mitigate to make sure nothing is going wrong, that sometimes you forget when it's time to sort of like let go and trust your kid a little bit.
Yes.
So yeah, we had this discussion because yesterday, you know, like our son was playing with another kid, and you can see the game is not going the other way, and here we are saying, no, don't kick it outside, don't do that, don't kick the game, don't kick the ball too out, don't do that. And sometimes I was like, just let him be, you know. And
yes.
surprisingly enough, I could see like them figure things out, or you see him start to problem solve.
Wow.
You know.
Yes.
So I guess that's why I thought I'd probably raise, you know, at what point in time do you let go? Do you?
And that's a really good point. I see that a lot in my sessions and I love it so much when parents are engaged in the sessions and joining in, but you do see that you're like, the prompts come really quickly, like, oh, don't do it this way, do it this way, and then kind of taking that bit of a step back and letting them try, letting them fail, but giving them an opportunity for success is what we also want. And I think with play skills, that's so important too, how you mentioned with that, in that play setting. I think it's something like when kids learn something through play, they learn it so much faster than what we would do teaching them step by step. It's something like, for one thing, they learn with their peers in play. It would have taken us 10 times to prompt them, to teach them, and they learn it and they commit it to memory so much faster when it's through play. So play is really powerful, but yeah, it's tricky when you have to take a step back and let them problem solve. Ask them the question, not tell them.
Yeah.
I've had to shift my mindset too, knowing that.
And I think it's something for me coming into this therapy world that I've learned, because I think, and this is something we were talking about before, parents, because we're so busy in doing things, a lot of the time we're just used to leaving kids to play by themselves. And because kids without additional needs, I suppose they naturally just play. So for us, it's such a new thing. Parents of additional needs kids, is like, you know, you actually need to take time to play with your kids. So it's even like when we go into the therapy world, it's like, oh, what? You mean I'm going to sit here for 45 minutes and engage with play? Like, it's something we have to change our mindset. But at the same time, I think understanding therapy is like, what's behind this play? What's this doing? And hearing you even just explain that, it's like, yeah, they learn more through play than us talking to them 10 times. It's just eye-opening. And I think this is something that will be really helpful for parents to know. It's not just a waste of time. Because I think I was saying before in the other chat we had, was, for me, I would just watch therapists and, for example, with our son play, and I'm thinking, this is such a waste of time, it's such expensive play. But it's because I don't understand what's behind the play. But now it's like, oh, now I understand, this is actually how kids learn.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's such a good point. And as a therapist, I must say, that's something that's constantly on our mind, is this looks like just playing to our parents. And when they're in the session, sometimes you do just sit and observe, because that's what the child needs to do at that point. But we're constantly analyzing, breaking down what's happening. How did they respond to that instruction? Can they follow more than two steps? Can they pack away? Can they sequence the things in order? Can they come up with an idea? Like, it does just look like, especially in an OT space, I think. I'm not sure if you go to a gym, like a therapy gym with like swings and balls and crash mats, or in my field, I do community visits. I go to homes and schools and see them in their natural environments. We're definitely always thinking about what we are documenting, because we have to document it in our notes and how the child responded to this, and how can we challenge them next time.
That's good.
I think one thing I can point pick up is is play and quiz and ask as opposed to prompt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we're so good at prompting, and by prompting
Yeah.
is telling them what to do, telling them what to do.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
playing and
Yeah.
asking questions as
Yeah.
opposed to just prompting.
Yes.
So yep,
Yeah.
homework for us.
Yes.
Prompts have a very good place. Prompts are so important.
Yeah.
But you can always gradually reduce the level of prompting, like maybe just giving one prompt and then seeing if we can do all 5 steps, or can we get dressed with just one prompt? Can we, pack our bag with just one prompt, or those kind of things.
But I can almost testify that, because sometimes I notice when he's starting to get a bit, with our son, especially now, when he's starting to get a bit impatient, and, instead of telling me, hey, be patient, I'll be like, Ian, what do we need to do? What do we need to be? He goes, need to be patient.
Great. That's good teaching. Yes.
So instead of just tell him to be patient, just ask him that, what do you need to do? What do we need to do? We need to be patient. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Asking, not telling him.
Asking him, not telling him.
Yes. And that's this is another a strategy, but in the OT world, we encourage with prompting, for any typical kid, we teach them a skill step by step. Like first step this, next step this, last step this. We teach them step by step. But for some kids with additional needs, the better way to go is backwards. So you're teaching them the last step first, so they feel that sense of accomplishment, like I can do this, I've done it. And then you kind of work backwards, and you give them that opportunity to problem solve and figure it out. Like, for example, putting on a jacket. We let them zip it up, or we put their arms in and then they put it over, or letting them, have a bit more of an active part in their daily life, and then the skills and activities that they do. It's a good one as well.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. And I guess for us, the challenge has been we still haven't even started working on some of the skills, because it almost feels like there's so many skills to work on.
Yes.
We just kind of work on that one. So I guess going back to the social side of things, what would you recommend? So you're in a setup whereby kids are playing, they're connecting. My kid has done something to upset other kids, or their behaviors come out as rude or bossy or insensitive or anything, or maybe they've been misinterpreted. What would be the best way to act in that situation? Because that happens to us all the time, especially when we take our child to play centers where it's more like your typical regular play setups.
I think in a lot of those situations, there's a teachable moment if the child is calm enough and hasn't escalated to the point of a meltdown, or not super heightened as a result of losing, or maybe using too much force with another child. Having a teachable moment, saying, first talking through what had happened. Like I noticed you pushed another child, and why? How did that feel? And then even bringing the other child, if it's possible. I know it's not easy in a community setting, but giving that, because parents would be understanding, hey, you're willing to teach them, bring the other child into the equation, let them work it out together, and you can explain as the parent, whatever the explanation is, sometimes we don't like it when other friends are too loud. It hurts our ears, and or sometimes we don't know our own strength and we push, but we actually don't mean to. Our body awareness isn't there yet. Giving that teachable moment for the kids and for the adult, and then apologizing. You can also use that as a moment to apologize with the other party. It's not always easy, though, I know, especially in the community setting, but I find at schools as well, it's helpful when educators or parents can kind of work together and problem solve with the child.
Just to add into that is, if let's say and that's something we notice a lot, is a child who gets our children who get so stuck into one thing, whether it's one activities and they want to play, and maybe the other kids don't want to play the same thing, or the other kids want to move on for that. How do you, or maybe I guess the common one for us is our kids want to play with other kids, but then other kids don't want to play with them. How do you navigate that without obviously crushing your child's confidence? Because a lot of times if we started saying other kids don't want to play or whatever, but then I don't know what's going internally, how he's internalizing that. How would you navigate that?
I think what springs to mind is bringing in some of those are complex social dynamics that come in, and sometimes that is true. Like we come and ask to play, and then someone says no, and how do we respond? And there's some lovely tools and resources that kind of talk through those social scenarios. What to do when someone says no. I can say okay, or I can, depending on the situation, I can ask a teacher if they're really being unfair or unjust. That's one way I find that visuals are very effective, and it's external as well. You're not saying it's the child's fault that no one wants to play with them. It's not true. It's sometimes our friends don't want to play with us, or sometimes people like different things to us, and explaining that too. But also reflecting how can we interplay, how can we invite others to play with us, might be helpful too, I think.
A lot of times it tends to be maybe they start playing on this thing and then our kids get stuck into that, and then other kids move on, or it could be a case of they want to play with other kids and the other kids don't want to play with them. And we tend to find a lot of that is we go to play centers. Our son really loves playing with other kids. But sometimes there might be like a bunch of siblings and they want to play on their own. And then he ends up just following them around and or trying to join in, and then that becomes potentially, I think that becomes escalating.
So he's not maybe noticing the social cues.
He doesn't. He's not noticing the social
that
cues.
others are showing.
And sometimes trying to snap in out of that could just be something that ends up in tears. And sometimes we've had to bite the bullet because and just say, well, we might as well get the tears and remove him and take him home, because it might be a bit too much for the other kids as well, and they might not be able to understand. And sometimes you don't have the patience and the threshold to be able to explain to the other people. So I guess that's where we were thinking.
And is the opportunity, or is the task of like redirecting a bit tricky? Like redirecting can be challenging in that moment too. Like suggesting, let's go over here.
He gets really fixated. I want to play with this.
I want to play with that child.
Okay.
I want to play with that child, and I want to play with that child, and I want to play with these kids. So sometimes we've had to resort to, like, before we ever get to something, it's like, all right, remember when we need to play with people, if people don't want to play with us, that's okay. And like I said, it tends to be more like siblings or like smaller kids and just want to do it. And sometimes kids just want to do their own thing,
Right. And you say sometimes you won't notice when they moved on, you're still continuing with one play.
Wants to play. And the thing is, sometimes they might not have that ability to understand the boundaries. It might be, so that's kind of where it gets a bit tricky. So that's why we thought, okay, I don't know, what's the best way to...
Is there a way? Yeah, it's tricky in a community setting where you can't really facilitate the play as an adult, and you have to take a step back. But and then even talking to the other parents would be in on the
A lot of the time the parents are tapped out, they're tired.
They don't have energy for
It tends to be you're there following a kid, the parents is on that corner, buried in a cell phone,
like
buried in a phone, doom scrolling.
Moment of reset,
and you're here juggling kids and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not judging other parents, but how do I balance between giving my child space to be themselves while teaching them the social skills they need for later on, I guess? How do you balance?
It's a good question. Balancing their need for the social skills that you need to teach them.
Yeah. So giving them balancing between giving them space with themselves and while teaching them social skills that you for later. Yeah,
that's a good question. I recently thought of that. I have a beautiful little girl that I see, and she's doing really well in her kindy, and social skills are one of our goals, and that's such a good question because I see it so often. Our goals are really around social skills, building social skills, making friends, keeping friends, engaging in play with others, participating, all those things. But sometimes she just wants to be by herself. Sometimes she just prefers to play independently and doesn't really want to join in a group, and that's okay. I'd say there's definitely importance for teaching social skills, whether that's through videos, through lessons, through teachable moments in live, in person. But I think it is such a balance. Hey, we need to be reminded that they don't need to fit the mold. They don't need to be typical like their peers. Like it's actually such a beautiful thing when you see how unique kids with additional needs are, and they have such a beautiful thing to bring. They like their interests and their activities and like their skills are so important to acknowledge. But yeah, it's definitely a balance, and we do want them to be able to participate at school or university, or when they grow up, to be a functional adult and be able to have the skills to socialize and navigate society, but also being okay with that sometimes they don't have a battery, like a social battery that we do, or it's a real tricky balance.
Yeah. So thinking about now school setup, because that's something we are constantly thinking about now that our kid is about to start big school next year. Scary.
Congratulations.
Scary.
It's scary.
Exciting and scary.
Yes.
What's the one thing I should ask my teacher, or like teachers, educators, to get the most out of I guess in terms of how they would, in terms of like, because obviously we want to have that collaboration between your therapist, your teacher, and all the different people. And for us in the last few years, what we've noticed is what's helped is being able to have all these different people working around the child, like we call it our little village. What are some of the questions they should be asking so they can be able to sort of get the right kind of support or something like that?
I would definitely encourage, because I work a lot in this space with transitions to school, definitely ask the question of, can we have a roundtable meeting with everybody? Like all the therapists involved, with your principal, your teachers, your educators, the support staff, the SSOs. That's such a powerful starting point, because at that meeting then you can ask what strategies are in place, and you can bring your concerns of how your child might cope with differences in the environment, expectations. It's all very big, but it's very, very important to have that meeting, I find, and to start the process early, starting the transition as soon as you can, like maybe term 4, term 3 even, gradually starting the transition to show the school, show pictures of the school, go visit, meet teachers, go play on the playground. You're doing that? Oh, lovely. That's wonderful. But questions, I would say, I would really ask what is available to support a child that's experiencing dysregulation. Like, what facilities do they have? Sometimes it's only a little corner in the classroom, but sometimes they have a space in the office that can be like a calming space, or even just a place for them to, because kids on the spectrum mask a lot, so even a place where they can just be themselves. They don't have to mask all day, hold it in, and then they can just unwind there. I would ask as much as possible about the routines, the environment, like the processes of, like, do they have assembly? Do they have, like just all the things that may be difficult for your child to meet the expectation or meet the skill, or have difficulty like navigating the environment. The transitions, like how many transitions are there? What's the bell of the school like? Some schools have now songs rather than real bells to help the students, and I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant. But in terms of like specific supports, I think that's also really important to advocate there, like asking them, how do you manage like challenging behaviors? What's your processes? Like, do you just call the parents straight away? Do you expel? Do you, like, I know those are big questions, but it's so important, hey? Like, if they don't have processes in place that don't jump to the extremes and consider problem solving with the child first, rather than using strategies that are too late, like you've punished, or you've told off, or you've sent to the principal's office, or that kind of thing. So just knowing whether they have a neuroaffirming approach there in the school. Just trying to think of any more questions.
That's really good.
No. That's very important to know.
Yeah. A big one that parents find is a concern is around toileting. Now, some kids have entered school and they aren't entirely continent yet, or they have trouble with using public bathrooms, and toilets in the school aren't always the cleanest and the nicest, or they're loud and there's other kids and it smells. And I think that's also important. That's such a big question, and I see that so much, is how can they be supported with their self-care skills, toileting, getting changed, or I guess they don't really, and eating, and just those things that we know might be challenging. Yeah.
Yep. That speaks into our
yes.
into what we'll be really be discussing.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely going to be discussing that and looking at what sort of adjustments they've got.
And it's great that the state, I mean here anyway, have a document that helps, any of your therapists can write it. Like, it's called a continence care plan. Have you heard of it?
Okay.
Yeah, continence care plan. It's just it's a government document, but it can be written for additional support so it's given to the school, and then they can accommodate any special needs around toileting. So you can say how, specify, do they need wipes or change of clothes in their bag? Do they need prompting? Do they need timing? Or do they need a full change? Or do they need just reminders? Like, you can really specify and encourage them to carry on that support at school.
That's really good to know.
Yeah, just depending on the level of where the child is at. It's not always, like extreme, but sometimes they have trouble remaining continent throughout the day, and that's such a helpful tool, because they can then allocate the support staff or the teacher or whoever that can just support that little bit extra.
One thing I struggle with is there tend to be very, very a big difference between the way they behave at school and the way they behave at home. Because, like, I'll give you a good example. Like, he'll spend the whole day at childcare or at his school programs. He'll come home with a dry nappy, which means he's been toileting himself all day. But then as soon as he comes home, all that goes in the window. Because we'll tell the school that, this thing, we'll tell them, we'll have a chat with the school and tell them some of the things we're experiencing. They're like, no, he's fine. And then, so the school says he's fine, but home it's extremely hard. How do you bridge that? Where do you bridge that gap so we can have some consistency between what's happening at school and what he's doing at home?
I guess the one thing we struggle with, like for him, he's aware, like he knows he needs to go to the toilet. He does know how to use the toilet. So it's actually, you know, when he's going to the toilet, he'll actually go and hide. So he knows.
Okay.
Occasionally he will go and use the toilet, but we'll have done all the prompts. You know, we'll have, you know, the questions and everything. But yeah, at school, they're like, no, he's fine. He just goes.
Yeah, no.
So so we're not sure. Is it because he can see
yes.
other kids going? I mean, at home he's an only child. We don't know.
Yes. And like you said, a lot of the time it's they're very comfortable, safe at home. They know they have the skill, like they have the capacity to do those things that they need to do. But for whatever reason at home, I hear that a lot, and a lot of psychologists have said the reason why that happens is at school and at wherever they go throughout the day, they're very busy meeting expectations, and they want to do well. Kids want to do well, and even masking a bit. So they're fitting in. They're doing what they're told, and they want to please. And so when they're home, they're comfortable with you. They don't have, you know, they have expectations, and we know that they know the familiar routines and things. But definitely, there's a contrast, and they're holding it together in a sense at school. And then at home we can release, and it's coming back to all that brain work we spoke about at the start, and the sensory components that also come into play. But bridging the gap is so important, like you said. I think even that reminds me of an example where you have kids that'll eat certain foods at childcare, but they come home and you make the exact same thing and they won't eat that same dish.
Yep.
But
Same with us.
yeah. But bridging the gap is important. I think that's what we encourage in therapy too, like communicating with the school or the kindy about what's the language, what's the routine, what's the process, what's the prompt, like how can we make it more predictable and familiar across all settings? How can we close that difference, because children have to keep up with a lot of different rules, different expectations, different demands at everywhere they go. So I think if we can make that more consistent, it would be so helpful. I certainly see that with schools.
There's a lot of myths. So I was hoping today we can play Mythbusters.
Mythbusters. I love it.
And try and dispel some of these myths. Okay, the first one is, isn't sensory stuff just a phase? They'll grow out of it.
No. That is a myth.
Yes.
Sensory is so deep. It's so ingrained. You might see, actually in my experience, I've seen children have real sensitivities to certain experiences, to certain sensory input. For example, clothing. They might hate a certain texture or can't tolerate wearing tight clothes, or they'll only wear loose and baggy clothes. And then they'll find a strategy that helps them. And then it seems like it's gone away. But later on, when they're a bit older, and it's normally around puberty, where the hormones are changing, the body's changing, then some of those sensory difficulties will resurface. And so it isn't just a phase. Certainly, children get better at managing their responses, and a popular theory, I think it's also a myth, in my opinion, but is desensitization. It doesn't really address the problem. It just kind of puts a plaster on it. Like exposure. Like it doesn't really address the child's sensory needs or concerns or skills that they're having difficulty with. I think that's so important to remember. Hey, but yeah, they won't grow out of it.
They won't grow out of it.
Yeah.
Another myth is, if my child is calm on an iPad or an iPhone or device, a tablet.
Yes.
Am I doing harm, or is it a tool when used wisely?
I definitely think it's a tool when used wisely, 100%. And I think on that, I'd love to encourage parents that it's okay. You're not a bad parent sometimes we need that reset. Sometimes you need just a moment, just to go to the kitchen, just to make a cup of tea, or just to get dinner started. We can't, we can't feel bad for, needing that extra time. But it's not a bad thing. I think definitely in moderation, and definitely knowing some of the difficulties with what they're exposed to and what they can see, and that sometimes hyperfixation isn't helpful when that's on a certain device or certain program.
When would you say is a good time to get professional support? So, the parents out there, they don't know when to get an OT involved. And why early intervention?
So first, I'd say when you know OT, when you're ready for an OT or you want OT involved, I think when you're having difficulty with any element of daily life, whether that's sensory or activities or delays, or when it's at the point that it's interfering with daily life, I think that's definitely a good thing. Like when you're finding it hard with emotional regulation, with fine motor skills, gross motor skills, social skills, and it's interfering with their ability to participate, I think that's very important then to seek help. And I even think you don't necessarily need to commit to long term straight away. What's brilliant is that OTs can do screening. They can just do a quick consult with you over the phone and kind of see where you're at, and then go from there. But I think it's worthwhile, even if you think it may be beneficial, just even to have a discussion with an OT or have a screen done where they just observe the child and listen to your concerns and then go from there.
Why early intervention?
Early intervention, that's a good question. Because it's scientifically and research shows that in the first 3 to 5 years of life is when the most brain development happens. And the most fundamental, it's not saying that beyond that point it's too late, but it's so important to have those, really work on those foundational skills early, especially with sensory integrative approaches and sensory systems. If you can help them kind of manage their responses, or just help their sensory systems integrate better. One example is the body awareness. If you notice they're really having difficulty with their spatial surrounds, that with bumping into things, knocking things over, using too much force, it's in their body, it can be improved upon. So when you work on that really early, then the chances of later on it's going to be much easier for them to participate in sports and navigate, the home environment, the world, without feeling a sense of lost in space. Definitely important to do early intervention. I think even socially, if we think of how so key early on, just those early social experiences and just all we know about development, like visual skills and fine motor skills, gross motor skills. I see a lot of children that wouldn't have known, a lot of families wouldn't have known until they start school, and then suddenly all these issues emerge, and the teacher will say, oh, they can't hold a pencil properly, or they can't write their name, and it's nothing to do with bad parenting or anything. It's just so much more helpful when it's early intervention. And it's not saying it can't be remediated later on, but I think the longer you leave it, the more things can become habit, and it's harder to support through intervention. So I'm just thinking of the handwriting. I'm really into my handwriting as an OT, but kids 11 years old often have a hard time correcting their grasp because it's already like functional for them, even though it's uncomfortable, it looks awkward, it's not ideal. That's one of the many examples. Toileting is another one, like training early, helping with whatever's tricky really early on is helpful. Sleep as well. Sleep is a tricky thing. I've had 13-year-olds that are still in mum and dad's bed, so early intervention is really key.
Based on everything we've talked about, if a parent was to just try one thing this week, what would that be? With regards to obviously emotion regulation and sensory needs and things like that. Yeah.
Depending on where your child is at, in terms of how much they can communicate to you, you'll be surprised even non-verbal kids can communicate so much. But I would encourage parents to have a try at asking the child what, or like the reason why they're finding something difficult. Because often we can jump to solutions quickly. We're like, okay, how about we put on headphones? How about we give you a fidget? How about we change this for you? Accommodate. And it's brilliant, and all of those things have a place. But I think it's so important to bring the child into the process, because they also know their bodies and they know what they need. And you'll be surprised some of the things that, they find difficult participating in. For example, going to the dentist or getting their hair washed, or like asking them what's making it hard and then bringing them into the problem-solving process. I would encourage that. That's a very powerful step, and it's a mindset shift, but it's so powerful when you hear the reasons kids have for having difficulty with emotions and behavior. We always see that, but we never think to get down on their level and kind of unpack what's making it hard for them, and then thinking about a solution together. That would be something. I know that's a big one, but having a bit of their input and finding out what's making it hard.
I can agree with you wholeheartedly, because like we've noticed sometimes with our son, he'll say he doesn't want to do something, and sometimes the natural reaction is, okay, we gotta do this.
Yes.
Like the last few weeks he's been like, I don't want to. He goes to 2 different schools, and he goes to do different childcare in a special school, and he's kind of like been fighting the urge to go. He's been, I don't want to go to the special school. I don't want to go to. I'm not going to mention the name.
Yes.
But they do a really good job. They're really, really good with him. But I'm like, why don't you want to go there? And then he started saying, it's very noisy. Oh. And it turns out that, and obviously it's a special school, so other kids will be steaming. It might get noisy, and then, but you see, you can put your headphones on, and then he goes, I don't want to. And then he started saying this. The next time we started having that conversation, he goes, I don't want to go through there. It's like, and I don't want to put my headphones on.
Clever, very clever.
It's like, but why don't you want to go there? It's very noisy. And then he now started mentioning the particular name of the kid who's noisy.
Okay.
But I'm like, and then it was easy for me to now have that conversation. It's like, but it's okay. It's just. Everyone is different. Everyone can, but it's not until you trust him, because initially it was like, no, but we gotta go. My initial reaction was to try and tell him, let's go there, because I know that he resists before getting there, but once he gets here, he'll be fine.
Yes.
So my thing was like trying to sort of do the whole, let's
encouragement.
But then once you start to get to the bottom of it, then you can sort of have a conversation about the root cause. One common question I wanted to ask before we go is a question about discipline, because obviously you want to discipline your child appropriately, but you also don't want to you also want to do it within to the extent with which they understand the consequences of what you're talking about. You don't want to just let them do whatever, you've got to teach them some element of consequences.
Yes.
Is there some strategies you might be able to recommend for children who perhaps might not have a full understanding of consequences or like social norms or things like that, or just where is that balance between making sure that obviously you're making sure they don't just get to do whatever, but also being appropriate in a way that is honoring where they're at in life and then how much they understand and stuff like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
discipline is a big question. Psychologists are really good at this question.
Oh,
But I'd say it's important, like you said, they need to know the boundary, where the boundary was and if they've crossed it. I'd encourage teaching them what the natural consequence is of the behavior they've done or the thing they've done. Explaining it if they can understand the child, but you said maybe if they don't have the understanding. It's hard because rewards and punishment can be so difficult, and it doesn't address the underlying skill or the difficult thing that they're having trouble with meeting an expectation or completing a skill. They're avoiding something. I think it's communication, it's a behavior, but having a real clear I guess a consequence. So if it's an item that gets taken away, or they have less screen time, or that, and sticking by that is so important. I think sometimes especially with kids with additional needs, you get extra outbursts, you get more reactions from the discipline, but staying true to it, sticking by it. And I find that it's so hard because we don't always want to be that firm, but being firm is so important as well. Like you're not giving in either by letting them. It's a tricky balance. Discipline is very important, but how do we do it with the kids with challenges? I think it just points to if I'm thinking of from an OT perspective, like what they're having difficulty participating in, and thinking about what's making it hard, rather unpacking that, but also them understanding what's not appropriate. And maybe even, I'd say a lot of the time we go to social stories to externalize it again, so it's not just coming from you, it's written down and it's explaining clearly what's not appropriate, or why it's not okay to do. Explaining like it's hurting other people, or it's making other people feel bad, or it's unsafe, it's dangerous, it's hurting yourself. Yeah, but definitely keeping those boundaries, being firm, because they understand. Children, even children with additional needs need those boundaries, and they can understand.
100%, because we find for us what really works with our son is explaining the consequences. And we'll notice that next time he tries to do something, he will start to talk about, or he'll collect himself and say, don't do that, otherwise this is going to happen, otherwise this happens, this, so definitely consequences just comes in very, very handy. What is one sentence or some sort of advice you could give to parents who see themselves during the hard times when going through all this? What would be your parting shot to parents to stay sane and sober during the hard times? I can see the signs. She's had a few hard times.
Yes.
So bye.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have a wise quote or anything like that.
Or some wise advice.
I would just commend all parents that have children with additional needs. It's not an easy road, and it's a big journey, and it's forever changing, and those goalposts keep moving. But just know, like, you're the best person for that child. No one else understands them like you do. You knew from the beginning that you saw something different, and you trust. Oh my God, welling up. You noticed things, you picked up on things, and you maybe second guessed yourself, but you are the right person for the job.
I'm so grateful
Yeah.
for that. Thank you so much for coming through, and we really appreciate your advice and insights. And I'm sure a lot of families who are listening to this and are feeling a bit overwhelmed
Yeah.
will find this really, really, really encouraging and
Hope so.
walk away with a lot of tips. And we really appreciate
Yeah.
what you do, especially with the kids program at church. And thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate it so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.